Okay, Chloe, first lesson, kind of an assessment. I'm going to go through a few things on your bass just to show you that, first of all, it's feasible to pull it off. And we're going to go back to the B flat major scale 1 octave using the fingering pattern. Key of B flat, we have B flat, 2 flats. Don't even need to really worry about that because the fingering pattern covers all of that. So, starting on the A string, so the B flat is going to start on the index finger. Fingering pattern 1, 4, open, 1, 4, open, 2, 4. Descend the same way you ascended. So B flat, C, D, B flat, F, G, B flat. Come back the same way. Really clean sound, especially with the D, A, and E strings. That's how I know you need just a little adjustment on that. Great sound, good sounding bass. So here we go, by the numbers. 1, 2, B flat. The idea is to keep the sound moving. Each note equally important. Now the one thing you want to remember down here is that you may be required to do some shifts. So be ready before you get there. I call it looking ahead. With B flat is not that big of a deal because everything just lies right there. But when you get into like the C major scale that we first started open, using your G as a reference point to hear the intonation. The G is a fifth away from C. So G, F, E, D. The last note? C, right? Okay, C major. We talked about the fingering pattern on this one. It's a combination of closed notes and open strings. All right. No sharps or fat in the key of C. We both know that. So I'm in tune. I'm starting on the second finger. So C, open D, E, F, open G, A. Now you're gonna make a shift here. After A, you go to B, right? But it's not gonna be right next door. It's a whole step away from A to B, right? So you need some space. And you got the tape there, so you could. I'll let that go for now. Right. But you're gonna get past that because the whole idea is to be able to close your eyes. You can do that. This is your bass. So if I can do it on it, you can do it better. Okay, so I'm going to demonstrate this once. C major, starting on the A string. 2, open, open, shift, C. Come back the same way. You don't need to shift because B is right there now, right? Now the shift comes back to A. Open. One more scale, D major scale. The last one we talked about. Key of D major, F sharp, C sharp. Not that important. Once again, fingering patterns. I stress that because I don't like to see students get bogged down over stuff that's not that important yet. Of course, it's important to know key signatures. That way, when you're playing a tune, whether it's orchestral, jazz, blues, you're not playing an F when you should be playing the F sharp because you don't know what's in it. Okay, D major scale, open D. 1 on E. 4, open G. Open, 1, 4, open, 1, 4. This is a good scale because you have a lot of reference points to check your intonation. Always make sure you're in tune. Most crucial. Stay in tune. And as you go along, Chloe, you'll develop little exercises on your own. That's the whole idea. My job as an instructor is to pull out the things that you can do to help yourself. I can't give you nothing but good instruction on how to make yourself better. And if you're receptive and work hard, you'll do it. Especially with the classical music. I love it. I did 2 seasons with the symphony myself. Not bad. Now everything that I'm showing you pits, obviously you do it with the bow also. Now let me see your bow. Important with the German bow in particular, because you got to put a little bit more pressure and you have a lot more leverage because of the way it's designed. I like to think like this. I like to get this under the thumb right here, right at the frog area right there. I'm thinking this way. And here is kind of like a loose, kind of stable yet loose hinge right there, holding on. Always keeping an angle, not straight on. You have some problems doing that. You get a real thin, wispy sound. You can dig in a little more. Make sure you have enough rising on the bow. Use harmonics like we talked about for tuning. Once you lift that bridge up, you won't have that. Yeah, it's fully capable of doing everything we're doing once you get it down. Now, the first practice session when you get home or whenever you get time, okay, use the tape, but try not to be dependent on that tape, because that tape you won't be needing that pretty soon. Trust me, the ears are most important. Okay, bridge is the first order of business to get that in. Let me see what your sound posts look like. It sounds great. Now the sound post right here, always make sure, like your mom was saying, the way you guys were transporting it, as long as it must be solid, because if it weren't solid, if you land it on the back and it hits, it'll fall out. Which is, if it falls out, I don't have a post setter here, but we can get that set up. And that'd be something that you want to do once you get this done too, because it's going to alter the tone of the bass. And you might want to be there if they change your sound post, because you know what you want to hear out of your bass. And a lot of times a luthier, a good one, will go, I'll make an adjustment, you play. Is that something you like? Or would you like more of this or that? It's just like getting a haircut almost. You get in there and let them set it up. This here is a kind of a gimme. The thing with the bridge, what's most important, which this one seems to have pretty well seated feet. You want to make sure that these feet here are flush to the body. You don't want big openings and gaps there, because your tone suffers. The more flush, the more vibration, the bigger sound you get. Okay. All right, let's try one more thing before I let you go. And arpeggios. If you want to play scales, you might as well do the arpeggios to help it out. Okay, folks. Key of C major, what we have for a triad. C, third away from C.
C, D, no.
That's 2. C, D.
E.
And then 5 away from C is
F.
C, D, E, F.
G.
Exactly. So that's going to be your triad. That's going to be your arpeggio. So if you're playing the C major scale, you go through the scale. And what that actually does is it reinforces everything in your ear. Because not only do you hear the scale, you hear almost a chordal effect. So you hear what it really sounds like. And that's important. That's all in developing strong ears. Because as a bass player, no matter what style of music you play, from rock, classical, country, it doesn't matter. You gotta have ears. Trust me. Your ears have got to be on tune. Because if they're not, that's an issue. You have great ears, so we're going to be able to work. Yeah. Get the bass 100%, no holds barred. Work on the bowing a little bit. Remember, in fact, let me do this one more time here. Most crucial for the bowing, especially with German bow, my approach is to bring it right in this cup of your hand. Right? See how that works? Then take these 2 fingers. So you have something like this going on. And this one here kind of hangs underneath. Not a whole lot of tension going on there, just like the French almost, but a little bit more secure. You get more armed. Whereas the French, of course, is more finesse.
For me, the French was like a little bit harder because it's heavier. Like the bow is heavier than most bows.
Right.
So
Yeah. Right. You do have more support here.
Yeah.
That's a good point. I didn't think about that. It does feel, and that can mess with your head a little bit. I started off with French because my first bass instructor was a French bow, but I had to learn German pretty well because I was doing the orchestral thing. That's a good exercise to work with. And that's in the key of D. You're starting on the 5, which is A. You're just bringing down the scale, starting on the 5, coming down. A, G, F sharp, E, D. Now, when you hear that sound, that probably need a little more rosin. If you put too much rosin on your bow, that's not a big deal because it's fun to get it off. That means you got to dig in and take a little bit off. I had that problem when I was studying bass. Are you all right? Everything cool? For now, because you have that problem, I'm gonna tell you what you need to do. Play lighter here on the G string.
Right.
That way you won't. If you dig in like you do on the G, you're gonna get that. Now, when you play that passage, A, G, F sharp, E, D, play it 2 different ways. Slur and then individual notes. That's enough to start with, Chloe. That's a